Good evening, my friends. The more I see, the more I know. The more I know, the more I understand. The more I understand, the more I can no longer remain silent. As much as this pains me, my dear friends, the more I feel the need to share this with you. I have been investigating the American Medical Association, and the only conclusion I can draw is that a more appropriate name for the AMA is the Amateur Meat Cutters Association. These so-called professionals are not looking out for your best interest. They're not trying to cure you. They're only interested in one thing, keeping you as a patient so they can continue to bill you.
Well, Emma, we've paid our last respects.
Oh, Father. I have never hated a man so much as I hate this one. Good riddance.
Norman Baker had quite the life. He was a politician, a radio broadcaster, an inventor, a hospital administrator. He was even a vaudeville performer. And you were Madame Tangley, the star of his mentalist vaudeville troupe. What was that like?
Well, actually, honey, I was the second Madame Tangley. My real name is Teresa Pinder. Now, the first Madame Tangley left in 1909, and Norman, he went by the name Charles Welsh during his vaudeville days. He brought me in to replace her. Oh, he was captivating, a real showman.
Speaking of that, is it true that he amassed crowds of over 10,000 people at his opener demonstrations in Muscatine?
Well, now, I was gone by that time, but I kept in touch with friends in the area, and my, oh my, that man could draw a crowd. In May of 1930, they say it swelled to more than 3 times 10,000. This was the height of his campaign to cure cancer and discredit the American Medical Association. I suppose if you get a following like Norman and his far-reaching radio broadcast, you're gonna make a few people mad. Like they say, you can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs.
Are you all right, Essie? Do you need a rest, honey?
I'm fine, William. I'm just a little tired.
Mama, isn't it a nice day to be out in the park?
Yes, sweetheart. You always find something to be thankful for.
You think this doctor will be able to help you?
I don't know, Emma. Let's see what he has to say.
Look, Papa. I see a spot over there. Hurry before someone else gets it.
Now, don't you get too excited. I don't think we'll have to fight anybody for it. Remember, Dr. Baker was going to reserve a spot up front for us.
And I gave you my love to the melody of the music, the madness that made our Manhattan serenade.
This is so exciting. I really feel this is the cure we've been looking for.
Now, Billy, don't get too excited. The doctors have been doing everything they can for me, and nothing so far has worked.
Don't you remember what Dr. Baker said on the radio? The AMA doesn't want to cure your cancer. They just want to take your money.
Do you really believe that?
It makes sense to me. Don't you?
Well, let me tell you something about this fraud. This
Our Manhattan serenade.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a nice big hand for our fine musical performer. Wasn't she great?
Oh, it started. This is it, honey.
Now, as much as we like to entertain you, we know the real reason you're here today. So without further ado, allow me to bring to the stage the man who's not afraid to stand up for the little person. The man who's not afraid to stand up to big government, big business, and the AMA. Please welcome Mr. Norman Baker.
My friends, I want to thank you for coming out on such a beautiful day, and I sincerely hope you're enjoying the entertainment. I promise you that what you see here today will truly astound you and expose the AMA, the American Meat Cutters Association, for the frauds that they are. If you're not a believer now, you will be shortly.
Oh, he's as big a quack as John Brinkley.
Who?
The goat gland doctor over in Kansas. He transplanted goat testicles into his patients. Oh, and don't even get me started about his partner in crime down in Kansas City, Harry Huxley, another cancer cure huckster.
What do you have against him? He brings hope to those that have nowhere else to turn.
Ma'am, I am a doctor in Muscatine and a proud member of the AMA.
As many of you know, I was born and raised right here in Muscatine. I may have left for a while, but I never forgot the good old small-town Midwestern values that we all hold so dear. I was the 10th and final child of John and Frances Baker. They brought me up to be honest, hardworking.
Come back here and take your punishment like a man.
And to give back to the community. And that is just what I'm going to do.
Does no good to whip that boy. Never listens to anyone anyway.
Teresa, over here, it's me, Norman. Norman, what took you so long?
Me and my pa are working on another one of his inventions. Come in here, there's a game I want to play with you.
I don't know. I got in a lot of trouble last time we played.
Come on, it'll be painless. Let's play doctor. I'm gonna be one someday.
How do you play that?
It's easy. I'll be the doctor and you'll be the patient. Come on.
Norman.
Are you afraid? You can trust me. Being a doctor is easy. I know as much as any of those quacks. Now lay back. You won't feel a thing.
What are you going to do?
I'm just going to give you a quick exam to make sure you're healthy.
So, Norman got himself in a little bit of trouble, did he?
Oh my, yes. I heard that he was quite the rapscallion.
I understand he was a talented machinist and inventor, following in his father's footsteps.
Well, he had a knack for that sort of thing, and he could have done all right for himself by working for his father. But he was too wild to be confined to a small workshop in a little town in Iowa.
You got a great knack there for invention, Norman. You got a great future as a machinist.
Yeah? You think?
Sure. You listen to me and work hard, you'll do just fine.
You know, Pa, I don't think that's what I meant to do. I think I meant for bigger and better things. I've decided I'm leaving Muscatine.
Now listen, son. I know you've always been a free thinker, but there's a real opportunity here. We'll continue inventing, and I'll get you a job at the Pearl Button Factory as a clammer or a lumber yard. You'll do just fine there.
I need to learn more than this 2x4 town can teach me. I'm gonna make a name for myself. I can't do that in this little river town.
I need you here. You've got family here. I did just fine in this little river town that you're talking about.
Well, I'm not you, and I have bigger dreams. I can't stay here.
Now listen, son, this conversation is not over. Do you hear me? God damn it!
Norman, won't you please reconsider?
Let him go, let him go. I'm sure we'll be back for some of his ma's biscuits.
He walked out the door, said his goodbyes, suitcase in hand. He said that he would rather starve to death than have any more of ma's biscuits. And then he wandered throughout Illinois and Indiana. Oh, he worked as a machinist in little towns along the way. And then he had a vision of what he thought his life would be. One evening, he saw a vaudeville magician, Professor Flint. Norman became fascinated with his powers of mental suggestion. He decided to study and learn everything he could about mentalism.
I take it that experience changed his life.
Oh my, yes. As I said, he was a showman. And at that moment, he decided that vaudeville was going to be his way to make it big. He was determined to outdo Flint. He studied everything that he could about magic and hypnotism and mentalism. Norman was very intuitive, naturally talented, and a natural-born leader. He organized his own vaudevillian troupe, opening his show in Coal Valley, Illinois, and toured throughout the Midwest, polishing the act before hitting the big time. This was when he introduced his audiences to the lady mind reader that he named Madame Pearl Tangley, a reference to his hometown's fame as the pearl button capital of the world. After the first Madame Tangley left the show, Norman convinced me to replace her. He did have a way with words. The show was a hit, as we mesmerized audiences with magic, vaudeville tricks, and of course, Norman's passion for exploring the subconscious through hypnotism.
Behold, ladies and gentlemen, now that these fine citizens are under our hypnotic trance, we can convince them to harness the power of their subconscious minds to affect any aspect of their being by leveraging their internal life forces and the powers of suggestion. We can rid this gentleman of any pain he would normally feel from this frigid bucket of ice.
Sir, I am going to submerge your hand into this bucket of ice water. You will feel no pain. Now, when I snap my fingers, you will come out of your trance.
So, as I said, I was the second Madame Tangley, but I was his first wife.
Oh, Madame Tangley, your abilities range far beyond mentalism.
And you, sir, are a showman. On and off stage.
Oh, I feel for you, Teresa. I imagine this is what some might call love. I think we should extend the parameters of our relationship beyond our onstage chemistry.
What are you talking about?
Relax, my dear. Feel the tension of this moment leave your body. Visualize us walking hand in hand down an aisle adorned with purple daisies. The smell of fresh spring rain in the air as the birds chirp in celebration of our vows. You're excited and overwhelmed with emotion. Never have you felt so...
Norman, don't you dare try to hypnotize me.
Teresa, I'm ready to settle down. Will you marry me?
Well, it's hard to settle down when you're on the road.
You're right. let's really settle down. We'll get married and move to my hometown. I've got ideas that can put that one-horse town on the map.
Are you serious? Because if you are, I would go anywhere with you.
I've never been more serious about anything in my life. Conning those small-minded button makers will be an easier trick to pull off than any we do in our shows. Oh yes, Teresa, this is it. This is it.
That's when he returned to Muscatine.
Oh, yes, indeed. That's when Norman had hopes of being an entrepreneur, but he worked as a machinist in the meantime. This is when he started inventing. The biggest was the calliaphone, which he intended to strap on top of a car to promote the vaudeville show. But nearby businesses heard him tuning it and wanted one for themselves, so it became a business. He also started the Tangley mail-order art school, and even a supply company where you could get everything from Baker coffee beans to overalls. The years passed by quickly as he grew into middle age. And then he decided to start a radio station. He met with the mayor in secret to sell his idea.
So, Mr. Baker, why do you want to start a radio station out here in the wilds of Iowa?
I have seen the power of the airwaves, and this is an opportunity for our community. Do you want the big city stations that don't care about our small town values to be on our radios? Or do you want a station that will drive the big city folk to our town to spend money in our businesses?
I don't understand. How are you going to compete with the national stations?
I tell you, if you convince the council to grant me this license, I will turn this bum town into a boom town.
So he got his radio station and was busier than ever. I hardly saw him. He threw himself into his ventures.
For the stars don't show what in the world we know, that our hearts never do shine, even in the darkest night. I see the way you look at me, I see the way you look at me. Now we share our private galaxy. Follow me, dear, and gaze above to embrace our celestial love.
Good evening, folks. It's 6 o'clock, and that means it's time to know the naked truth. And there's no one better to help you do that than the man who's here to support you, the hardworking people of Muscatine, to save you money and protect you from the evils of urban society. So please welcome to the microphone, Mr. Norman Baker. Yes, folks, I said the man in purple, Norman Baker.
Good evening, my friends. As you settle back for the evening, we here at KT&T are just starting to work. It is our job to make sure you know the naked truth. The reason I started KT&T is to provide programming that supports the small town values of our people in Muscatine. I need to make you aware of a disturbing fact plaguing the independent radio stations. There is a cartel of broadcasters that have their sights set on stations that, like mine, are independent. They don't want variety. They don't want wholesomeness. They don't want independent voices, the kind of which KT&T can provide. They want to force their ideas and programming down the throats of every good, hardworking, decent American citizen. None the worse is AT&T, who has a de facto monopoly on radio transmitters. This should concern us all. If we lose the independent stations, then we lose the voice of America. I will say more about this in the coming weeks. But for right now, sit back, enjoy the music, and keep listening to KT&T.
Going somewhere?
I need to get this money out of here in case the FRC inspectors show up again.
What about the show?
Just rebroadcast my interview with President Hoover. Oh, and don't forget to plug the new KT&T Cafe. Oh, and the gas station. Cheaper gas and tires. That should bring enough travelers to fill KT&T Hill with our usual 5,000 people on Sunday's broadcast. I'll be back tomorrow and I'll get them really riled up. Oh, and don't forget to turn back down the watts so that the inspectors don't catch on.
Well, I tell you, boss, those new transmitters you designed, before too long, your voice is gonna be heard from border to border. This station's gonna be a border blaster.
When I said he became obsessed with his causes, I meant it. He was a crusader for the little people. He helped regulate cable car electric rates, was a strong supporter of local business and against big conglomerates. He was a believer in holistic healing and the power of the mind to heal, and thought the American Medical Association was corrupt and suppressed holistic cures to make money. And that became his new focus, discrediting the medical profession.
Good evening, friends. As much as I have fought for you and spoken out against the AMA, they continue to profess and spread their lies and propaganda. The insistence that immunizations are good for our children is simply propaganda that I cannot, in good conscience, stand idly by and let permeate the mainstream of generally accepted practices. The AMA would have us believe that injecting our children with the polio virus will somehow protect them from said virus. And because the AMA speaks from a position of authority, we simply accept it. I'm here to tell you this is not true. There is no evidence to suggest this is true. Vaccines are just a way for the drug companies to make money, and in doing so, lining the pockets of the members of the AMA for claiming the necessity of those immunizations. The State University of Iowa Hospital, which has chosen to support immunizations, is nothing more than a slaughterhouse that is at the beck and call of the AMA. I encourage you, no, I implore you to look at the facts and see the AMA for what it is, a money-making machine for the upper class. And remember, I am on your side. God bless you and keep you. Good night.
During this frenzy, he became partial to the color purple. Practically everything he owned was purple, from his purple ties to his purple automobile. He was known around town as the Man in Purple. I can remember as his wealth increased that he would throw coins on the street to delight the children. That color became his trademark.
Good evening, friends. Over the last few months, I have been attempting to warn you about the evils of the AMA. Through my studies, I have given you alternative medicines to cure most every malady. Much to the chagrin of the so-called trained doctors, the AMA has hoodwinked us into believing they're the only ones who can help us. But I know that is not true, which brings me to the most important broadcast that I have had the privilege to bring you from the desk at KT&T. I have been working on and have successfully formulated a cure for cancer, which comes without operations, radium, or treatments. I know this will be met with the usual kickback from the octopus known as the Medical Trust, which wants to keep a prosperous monopoly on all treatments. Notice I said treatments, not cures. Their only concern for the poor cancer patient is to get his money and fulfill the definition of the initials MD, meaning more dough. So, in order to give an alternative to the death sentence of the AMA, I will open the Baker Institute and offer a cure for long-suffering patients with cancer. My cure includes only natural ingredients such as B17, which will help purify the blood and tone up the system. When the heart is pure, the soul is willing, and the mind believes, disease simply cannot exist.
He claimed to have a cure for cancer, but what do you think? Was there any truth to this claim?
I'm not sure. But knowing Norman, I'd bet dollars to donuts that he believed that he did. I mean, he was a good man. He wanted to help people. And if he could make a little money on the side, all the better.
This was about the time then that he opened up the Institute.
That is correct. Norman didn't blow smoke. The dedication was in the spring of 1930.
Today is a great day for not only Muscatine, Iowa, but for the United States of America. As we dedicate this building, we are dedicating not only this building, but our mission, which is to eradicate cancer and all the suffering, sadness, and sorrow, which is its constant, continual companion. So, without further ado, the Baker Cancer Institute is now open for healing.
Put Donald Dirks on the white powder and the number 109T and get his urine now, then in 2 weeks, then 4 weeks, then give me a report.
Yes, sir.
Oh, nurse, could you please stay for a moment? I do believe it's time for your examination. I need to make sure if you're healthy.
Yes, doctor.
Hop up on the examination table and we can get started. But you didn't come here to hear me speak. You came here to see what all your neighbors and friends have been talking about. This so-called cure for cancer. I'm here to tell you it is not so-called. It is fact. I could have countless patients parade across the stage and give testimonials, but the skeptics
Mr. Baker, do any of your patients survive to give testimony?
Ah, I see we have one of those skeptics here in our presence. Please. Skepticism is a healthy and necessary part of the scientific process. I only wish the same skepticism would be applied to the AMA, who posit their cures and treatments and expect us to have no scrutiny, no questioning, and no proof of its effectiveness. We are simply supposed to accept what the AMA tells us because they are the experts, and we are just simpletons who have to be told what to do and how to take care of ourselves. So please, my good man, if you will be patient, I will change your mind. I will demonstrate today my cure, and there will be no doubt as to its effectiveness. And here it is, the cure for cancer. It is unnecessary, as opposed to what people would have you believe, to poison yourself in order to rid yourself of disease. And to prove it, I am going to drink this myself. There is enough tonic in this vial to cure 25 cancer patients.
What does that prove, you fraud? What's in that vial?
As I said earlier, it is my formula for curing cancer, which, as I'm sure you can appreciate, is highly proprietary and I cannot disclose.
So that vial has some concoction of various herbs. That doesn't prove that you can cure cancer. Give me the vial and I'll drink it. You are a showman. and nothing more.
Oh, the proof is coming. Today I'm going to demonstrate the power of my cure. Please, welcome to the stage, Mr. Mandus Johnson, a patient at the Baker Institute. Please state your name.
Mandus Johnson.
And I am not paying you, nor have I colluded with you prior to this demonstration. Is that correct?
No, sir. I am a farmer from east of the Mississippi, and I heard about your hospital on the radio and came for help.
Ah, very good. Mr. Mandus, please have a seat. My dear friends, you are going to witness the power of homeopathic healing. This is what the AMA does not want you to see. We are going to remove a part of Mr. Johnson's scalp and a part of his skull. You're going to witness the actual cancerous brain tissue. Doctor? And there it is. We're going to administer the cure directly to his brain. Mr. Johnson will feel the effects almost immediately. Ladies and gentlemen, cancer is conquered! Now, Mr. Johnson, and please tell me exactly what you're actually experiencing. But can you not feel the stimulation on your scalp? Can you not feel the medicine already working? Is not the headache that has plagued you all this time already starting to subside?
Yes, sir. I believe I can. I'm feeling better already. Thank you.
No need to thank me. I'm just glad to be here to help fight for and help the common folk.
See, I told you, he does have a cure.
Excuse me, Mr. Baker, can you really cure my cancer? The oncologist said they've done all they can. They call you a quack.
Yes, my dear. A quack is one who thinks and does things that others can't. So yes, I am a quack. And yes, I can and will cure your cancer.
That must have been quite a sight to see.
Now, I'm sure that it was. But then there were rumors that Mandus had died. So do you know what Norman did? He went on his KTNT airwaves and he announced a second demonstration. And this time, the crowd swelled over 50,000 people to see a considerably healthier Mandus. After that, well, the Institute overflowed with patients. And like all of his endeavors, it was successful for a while, with lines of people crowding to get in every day. At $1,000 per treatment, it wasn't cheap, but the chance to live longer kept them coming. Some nights, he would have as much as $100,000 that he spirited away under the cover of darkness. And that wasn't the only perk of Baker's success. But there were plenty of people who wanted him shut down.
You rest assured. Now that you've gotten away from the American Mummy Association, you will start to feel better. And I am confident, with your care you receive here, you will recover.
Thank you, Dr. Baker.
Well, I'm no doctor, but I have assembled the finest staff of medical professionals in the country to complete our work here. Rest easy now, and you can make your payment in the reception area.
Yes, sir. I'm going to join the Civil Conservation Corps to afford the payments. I'll be gone for a few weeks.
Well, young lady, your mother is going to be staying here at the Institute for a while so she can get better. And your father is going off to serve his country. What are you going to do?
I'm gonna spend some time with my grandma in Springfield. Do you think I could come and visit Mama sometimes?
Well, you go take care of your grandma, and I'll take care of your mama. Then you can come see her when she's all better. How about that?
Okay.
Well, William, you can rest assured that upon your return, your lovely wife, Essie, will be fully recovered, and your family can continue your life's journey together. They do not cure cancer patients. They only treat them until ultimately they die. I know what you're thinking. You're crazy. Doctors only want to help people. I only wish that were true. And to prove my point, I'm going to issue a challenge.
He's a menace.
If you are a cancer patient,
The only thing his
and have
quackery
been under
does
the
is keep
care of a
innocent
member
people
of
from
the AMA
actual
and
treatment.
have survived 5...
You're the editor of the AMA Journal. There must be something you can do to shut this so-called hospital down.
Technically, he hasn't broken any laws. As long as his doctors are administering the treatment and he's acting as administrator, there's not a lot we can do.
His doctors. All he has is chiropractors, osteopaths, and diploma mill MDs. And most of them have little to no formal medical training. And he has the gall to say that they're masters of their chosen profession. And I'll bet you anything, he's doing the treatments.
But without proof, we can't take anything to the prosecutor. I will say we've been getting a lot of complaints about his hospital from medical professionals in and around the Muscatine area.
The more successful we get, the more pressure we are going to get from the AMA to shut us down. We can't let that happen. There are 100 beds here, and as you can see, a large inventory of medications. You need to make sure that each and every patient is receiving the treatment and hope they deserve. All patients at the Institute are to be administered castor oil. Is that understood?
Yes.
Also, we need to make sure all of the formulas are mixed according to my instructions. If you don't have them, come to me. I'll see to it that you get them. We have received a new shipment of herb medicine for rheumatism, Hodgkin's disease, dropsy, stomach ulcers, and goiter. Let's get these going as quick as possible.
Have these been proven and verified to work?
If you have cases in the hospital, let's try them out here. After all, we've amassed hundreds of cases where cancer has indeed been cured. We are giving hope to the hopeless. That's something the meat cutters can't do. Finally, I am pleased to announce that I have decided to offer Harry Hoxie full employment here. His experience and formulations for curing cancer can only add to the success of the Institute. Please make him feel welcome and assist him in any way you can. All right, let's get out there and get to work. Oh, one more thing. It has been brought to my attention that some of you have not been purchasing your gasoline at my filling stations. As long as I'm putting money into your pockets, my gasoline will be going into your cars. We need to get this body out of here before the patients wake.
What are we going to tell that poor little girl?
Don't let anybody see you as you leave.
I get more complaints from the medical community in the Muscatine area every day.
That's no surprise.
Here's one from a member of the Muscatine County Medical Society. You can understand that Baker is poisoning the mind of the public and is certainly a menace to progressive health measures. Here's another one from a doctor who lost his patient shortly after she returned from Baker's hospital. It seems perfectly proper to me that the medical profession should make the initial move to put this criminal faker out of business.
But she would have contacted me. I can't find her anywhere.
I have her records right here. It shows that she was discharged from the Institute nearly 2 weeks ago. She was scheduled for a follow-up appointment a week later, but she never showed up. We assumed that she was so healthy that she decided to forego her checkup. Would you like to see the record again?
No, it doesn't make any sense.
As I said, I am sorry for you. If she does come back in, I will certainly contact you. Thank you for coming in.
Papa, will I ever see my mama again? Where did she go?
So what are we going to do?
I want you to go back to Muscatine and try to find some proof that Baker is treating patients. If you can do that, we should be able to bring charges. Meanwhile, we'll publish a series of articles to discredit him in the journal. Maybe the bad press will hit him in the pocketbook.
What about his radio station? That's where he gets his twisted message out to the masses.
We can lobby with the FRC to have his license revoked. That we can do.
Make sure the vault is closed.
It's closed.
Tidy little sum of money, wouldn't you say, Dr. Hoxie?
Not bad at all, Dr. Baker.
Make sure the coast is clear.
It's clear.
Let's move.
Right.
How much money was the hospital making?
Apparently somewhere in the neighborhood of $75,000 a month. Now mind you, this was in the early 30s, in the middle of the Depression, so one might say he was doing all right.
How did Norman feel about the AMA publishing those articles?
Well, he wasn't happy about it. The hospital revenues were dropping by 90%, and things were unraveling for Norman. In May of 1931, the FRC officially refused KTNT's license renewal, and the station went silent a month later.
Good evening, friends. This will be my last address to you through these airwaves, but rest assured that I will continue the fight. The American Meat Cutters Association has done everything they possibly can to suppress my cancer cure. A lot of people wonder why they would want to do that. It's very simple, my friends. Money. The medical establishment profits from its treatments, but not from cures. They have reaped a harvest of millions of dollars annually from needless cancer operations, radium treatments, and x-rays. The opposition to my cure is understandable, as the loss of profit would flatten out their purses considerably. To secure the wrath of any person or group, just start something that takes money away from them, and you'll get it. The AMA is an octopus whose tentacles grip the medical establishment in every state, county, and city. That is a fact, my friends. You know they have a hold on your throat from the time you lay in the womb until you go to your grave. It reaches into every home, into every school, into every university, into every breathing soul in America. Folks, let's break that trust and bring the medical practice back where it belongs. Do not lose faith. I have filed a libel lawsuit against the AMA, and I am confident I will prevail. Then I will continue my fight for the common person. Remember what President Lincoln said. He said they ought to kick every member of the American Medical Association clear over into Missouri. He said, God must love the common people because he made so many of them. Never forget that. Good night, and God bless.
Talk to us a little bit about this court case.
Well, he didn't win. There was plenty of damning evidence. A former hospital employee revealed what was actually in the cancer-curing liquid, that it was nothing more than a mixture of clover, corn silk, watermelon seed, and water. Norman was cited for contempt for bringing a pistol into court. Some of the witnesses he wanted to bring in had either been too sick or they'd actually passed away.
Doesn't sound like it could get much worse for him.
Well, the trial was followed by an arrest warrant for Norman for practicing without a license. The AMA must have found that evidence they needed.
So was this the end for Mr. Baker?
Oh, not by a long shot. He ran away to Mexico and started another radio station, XENT. He called it the Border Blaster. And then he returned to Iowa a few years later. He served 1 day in jail and had an unsuccessful run for governor.
What became of him after that?
He left Iowa and he went to Eureka Springs, Arkansas in 1937. He opened another hospital there at the Crescent Hotel, yeah. And then in 1940, the U.S. government charged him with 7 counts of mail fraud, and he was convicted and spent 4 years in the Leavenworth State Penitentiary. And then after that, he retired to Florida, and he lived on a yacht that was owned by some railroad baron. His health failed, and he refused conventional medical treatment, so he went and had treatment at a health sanitarium in Michigan. And he died in 1958 of cirrhosis of the liver. He's buried in Muscatine's Greenwood Cemetery next to his sister.
I've heard rumors that his funeral wasn't very well received.
Well, they actually had to hire 6 students from the junior college to act as pallbearers. There quite simply weren't many people interested in being associated with his legacy. There were only a handful of onlookers. Of course, some people say this was his greatest hoax of all.
What do you mean?
His death. For many years, someone would visit his grave and leave a purple flower. Rumor has it that no one but Norman himself would do something like that.